Is the Gameproofer really as good as a tech disc, or is it just a cheap knockoff? In this video, I'm putting it to the test. If you've been trying to improve your form, you've likely looked at both Gameproofer and a tech disc. But how reliable are they? How consistent are they? How are these devices going to meaningfully contribute to changing your form? And most importantly, perhaps, are they worth their expensive price tag? First up, what do they actually measure? Well, tech disc tracks your speed, spin, nose angle, hyzer angle, and wobble. Basically, the key metrics that shape your disc flight. Gameproofer claims to do the same, but also with stats like max g-force and release. And while Gameproofer only measures distance and a 2D flight path when you throw the disc in the field, tech disc uses the data from each throw and gives you a simulation of the throw in 3D and 2D, even allowing for you to change the disc characteristics to see how that might change the flight. There are some common complaints though. With tech disc, it tends to come from its higher price, as well as the subscription fee if you want to do things like video capture, as well as intermittent Bluetooth issues, and some people have an issue with the fact that you can't put it just on any disc, it has to come on the one that they're sending you. With Gameproofer, the complaints are a little bit different. The main one happens to come from that it actually doesn't come with a charger. You have to buy that on your own separately, as well as inconsistencies when it comes to measurements such as speed, spin, and nose angle. This was especially prevalent in people's complaints when it comes to having similar throws, and in my own testing is where the separation really exists for these guys. But rather rely on other people's experience, I put them to the test myself, doing very controlled shots as well as power shots. And I did this in the space of an hour with dozens of throws at different power levels and different styles to make sure that my results were consistent. The thing that stuck out to me with tech disc is just how consistent and how low the standard deviation was when I was doing my approach forehands. And so if my average shot is 50 miles per hour with 600 spin, unless I noticed that I did something very drastically different, these results were roughly the same across all throws. And I think that's just a standard for tech disc of just how much tech, how many accelerometers and gadgets are in this thing to give really precise, consistent readings. But that was not true with Gameproofer. My experience on my touch forehands was that the spin was very inconsistent, with the standard deviation almost 2 times as high as that when I was doing tech disc, and often jumps between 3 and 5 miles per hour, and also the speed rating was significantly lower than what I thought I was getting with tech disc and what I've tended to experience in the field. And this became even more apparent once I switched to really powerful forehands. Just the speed just wasn't there, or the spin wasn't there, and just really confusing readings. And so I'll show you guys that in real time from this clip. Yeah, only 57, like that's great. It's crazy. 57. Doesn't seem right to me. 58. Yeah. Another issue of concern for me with the Gameproofer was on my power backhands. While the speed metrics tend to be relatively the same between these two, and the spins was relatively consistent as well, weirdly, apart from the forehand, when I was throwing these backhands hard, the hyzer and the nose were way off from what I expect. Like I was trying to throw really flat when I throw my fastest, and I was getting hyzer angles of 30-some degrees and nose up of over 10. And I've improved quite a lot. My nose angle is not 10 degrees anymore. And I know that because I was able to throw 609 feet in my last distance contest. And you're not getting that with that much nose up. And all my power backhands were. And so it seems to me that when you throw faster speeds with the Gameproofer, stuff gets weird. And that might be because there's just not the same level of tech in here as in the tech disc. And with Gameproofer, it tends to seem like it's kind of all over the target, and it might even be dependent upon what tag you have as well. I have one friend who can only throw standstills because if he does a run-up, Gameproofer measures his run-up rather than the throw. I have another friend whose Gameproofer I tested, and on my power backhand I threw 73 miles per hour with 600 spin. And then on the very next throw, I threw 55 miles per hour with 1475 RPM. Neither of these are good measurements if we're talking about a launch monitor for disc golf. And importantly, this kind of experience of the stats being all over the place is not indicative of just my experience, which is a big deal when it comes to what are you going to be getting if you buy one. However, the biggest difference for me comes down to what can you do with your throw data. With Gameproofer, you can look at the stats for each individual throw, and you can export different sets of throws to Excel or a CVS file if you really want. But that's about it. But there are so many more options when it comes to TechDisk. You can bundle throws together to create sets to look at the data across those and seeing the variation, the average, what the upper and lower limits of your throw were. You're able to simulate your throw in 2D on the app, 3D on the web page. Gameproofer doesn't even have a web page to begin with. It really gives us the pieces we need to see what the data of a throw really means. And that's something that's crucial for learning. And as a coach, the learning is the most important thing for most people. Like, if I can tell you what this means and it can click for you, then it's most likely going to help you actually improve your throw, of getting measurable feedback and how do I change that. So with the video feature that TechDisk has, if you notice that your nose angle spikes for some reason, you can look at the video and notice, oh, my elbow dipped a lot more there. I got to remember that I keep that up. Or they've just rolled out a new feature in the app, which is really cool, where if you're throwing into your net and you're hitting too low and it's lowering your launch angle, and thus you're getting really short distance measures, it's going to give you a pop-up to be like, hey, you got to hit higher up. You need more launch in order to get more distance. And those are things that Gameproofer just isn't doing yet, and I don't know if they plan to at all. And while I can tell from online that TechDisk is trying to improve their product, they just aren't in the same league as TechDisk when it comes to measurement accuracy and the usability of your throwing data. And so if you're serious about buying one of these products and enhancing your form, I say the gold standard is TechDisk. It's going to give you the data you need, but most importantly, you know that you can trust that data, and it gives you the ability to work with that data as you drive your form improvements. Gameproofer to me seems like a good way to get a general idea of your form, but just not a good option if you're trying to dial in the details. And since it's only $80 less than its competitor, buying the TechDisk is a no-brainer for me. Now, I may be biased. I've had the TechDisk for over 2 years, done multiple videos with it. I'm in the beta testers chat, and I'm able to talk with the CEO about what makes this disk so special. And if you're interested in buying one, please consider using my affiliate link. It really helps me out. But the thing with my coaching is that I've seen my other students use this, and I've seen how it really drives their improvement, and I haven't really been able to see that in Gameproofer yet. And I don't necessarily see the same things that would contribute to that kind of success. I wouldn't want to waste my money, but importantly my time, on a device that isn't going to give me the actionable data that I need. The $80 difference just isn't worth it to me. And so TechDisk, gold standard, go get yourself one. Or like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me that my opinion isn't valid. Look forward to chatting with you in the comments. See you then.